The Fitbit Versa 4 is going to replace my Fitbit Charge 5, and here is why. Now, I was going to get the Versa 3, however, when I was checking out the Fitbit website to kind of see what products they have or ones coming out, the Versa 4 was actually available for pre-order, and so I went ahead and pre-ordered it for this video. My official order was placed on September 26th of 2022, and the product arrived a little later on October 8th of 2022. Now, the cost for me was $229.95. However, after Texas taxes were added on, it was $248.92 to buy this product. And when it arrived, I got the following items in the box. Of course, you get the Fitbit Versa 4 itself, along with 2 wristbands, a large and a small band. It also has its own charging cable, which is magnetic, but is definitely different than the Charge 5 I used previously. So no, this will not work if you're using one of those old ones. It might work with the old Versas, but I don't have one to compare. And of course, you get your quick start guide and warranty information, alongside 6 months of Fitbit Premium for free. So I did activate that, as it does have some items I can use with it for the 6 months and see if it enhances it at all. I probably won't be buying the membership afterwards, but I'll test it with Premium and see how it goes. Alright, so now it's time to take a look at the Fitbit Versa 4 after taking it out of the box. So I'm going to actually move back to the main screen here, so you click on this, you bring it back. You can also tilt it up to make it turn on for you. If you have tilt on, you can also have it as always on. I do not. And then if it also turns off, you can just double tap the screen like this to activate it as well. So this is your main screen. I didn't change it from the default, so this is what you'll get out of the box. But if we move over one, this is your quick view, so there are other things you can put on here, but you can only have one at a time. And if you click on it, we actually go into today's stuff, which is pretty much everything you see here, which we'll get to in another spot in a second. But just know that if you go over one, it is the quick view. No, you cannot put the daily readiness score on this page for some reason. I hope they update that in the future. Now if we move on over, we get to today's activities. So again, if you click one of these, it'll bring you right into today. It'll actually over to the one that I clicked on, but you can go through all of these and kind of see where we're at. So again, there's a lot in here if you go down it, but just know there are pretty much everything from the Fitbits that appear in the app will also appear on this screen. So let's go back. So I'm going to go over 2. So here we have our heart rate, so you can kind of see through the day. You see that mine's 59, even though I'm not wearing it, it's trying to pick it up. I guess through my fingers from the back thing, but you can kind of see it there. Resting heart rate's at 48, so that's pretty low for me, so that's pretty good. You see my sleep time, I did wear this last night, so I got 6 hours of 4 minutes of sleep last night. If we continue, you get a timer, so you can do like a stopwatch kind of thing on this screen. And then you have your weather. So this was something not in the Fitbit Charge 5, but they put in the Versa 4. So weather is on here. You can also click this thing on the bottom to change it, so you can see kind of the timing of degrees at what time. 8 p.m. will be 77, 10 p.m. will be 69. If we keep going, 2% chance of rain, you can see that. And then the last one, air quality is moderate. And then night is mostly clear. So that's pretty cool they added that. And then you have all your exercises here. Now these are the top 3 you've been using lately, but if you click on all, so in the Fitbit Charge 5, you were only allowed 6 items, but now you can get any of these. So you can get, again, the main 3, and then click other. Pretty much everything that the Fitbit has is available to you in this list. And yes, it does have auto tracking exercises. So like if I go walking, it picks it up automatically, and biking. But just know you can also come in here and pick it. So if I pick one, say like run, it'll do this little GPS connect thing, and I can just click go. It does a little like loop there, and then you're ready to go. Now one thing you should watch out for, I'm going to stop this, is that if you get into it again, sometimes it'll just immediately jump into starting it. So just watch out for that. If you don't want it to immediately start, you can just hit this button, and it will pause it. But I think that is it. So that's all the items. If we just go scrolling right, you can also scroll left for the same thing in the opposite direction. Alright, and now let's go vertically with the Fitbit Charge 4. So I'm actually going to go back to main screen. So if I pull it down, you'll see I have a few options. First off, we have Do Not Disturb mode. Pretty self-explanatory. You just don't get any kind of notifications. Same with like sleep mode. Pretty much the same thing. If we go into our settings, you will see a few options like display, vibration, audio, notifications, goal reminders, that kind of thing. Quiet modes are in your settings. So you can get that from there. So scroll down again. We also have a brightness mode. So this is max brightness, dim brightness, or just normal. I usually have it on normal anyway. Then we have a screen awake button. So if you press the button only is the only way to screen awake it. Or you can do button and rotation. And then the last one is always on display, but I don't have that on either. So that's it for just those settings. Can you bring it back up? Yeah, so we scroll back up, we bring it down. Now if we scroll up instead, we get notifications. No, I don't have any displaying here because I got rid of them all, but I have had text messages come through here after setting up the device, and you can read them right from the screen on this notification pane. So that is about it when it comes to the device itself. So the last thing you can do is you can actually just use this button on the left to go and find all of the items instead of scrolling through. So if we click it again, you now have your most recent stuff you've looked at, then you have all of the apps in this list. So again, if you don't want to be scrolling left or right, you can just go to these, click on one of them, and it brings it right up. So do it again. So we have weather at the top, but if we go to like say exercises, it goes right into it. So again, that's just a little faster way to get around the system if you don't want to be scrolling left and right. Alright, now we are into the pros and cons list. Let's take a look at our pros first. So my first pro is that this is very comfortable to wear. It actually feels very similar to the Charge 5 I used before it, as it does have the same wristbands as that product. The only difference really is the size of the watch itself. Otherwise, it feels just the same as the Charge 5. They also took a book from the Charge 5's display, as it is very clear and easy to read everything on screen. I don't know what they did in the last couple updates to change this, but as soon as they went to the colored display, it really has made a pop to that display and characters on screen where I can read it in really any type of weather or sunlight. Now at first, I thought that the screen was going to annoy me on how large it is. So this is more like a smartwatch than it is like the fitness tracker, like the Charge 5. And I thought it would annoy me, but honestly, I really haven't had a big issue with it so far. I kind of actually enjoyed it, and the overall display of it. Yes, it is kind of becoming a watch to me, but when I use it for my workouts and doing my initial testing, I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I really didn't have an issue with it being bigger than the Charge 5. Now, one thing about the Versa 4 is that on the left side of the device, it has a button. So you can actually have a clickable button now to move between some of your settings. And I want to see the past what I call the wrist test. So if I bend my wrist, can I activate that button? And no, I cannot. So if I push down my wrist, I still can't even reach it. Maybe I just don't have bendable enough wrists or flexible enough wrists. If you do, this might be different, but for me, I just can't get it to press this button on the side, which is great because you don't want it pausing whatever activity you're doing, like lifting weights or running. You don't want to have it stop if you want it being tracked. Also, when it comes to the exercises on the device, I'm no longer limited to only 6. With the Charge 5, you could only load on 6 exercise types at a time. Now it has all of them. So yes, you have your base ones you use, and the most frequent ones, the top 3 are at the top of the display, but you can go to an other section and actually select from a very large variety of exercises right from the device versus having to load them from the app and put them on instead. And something sorely missing on the Charge 5 is that readiness score. Again, I bought the Charge 5 really for that main reason, and it didn't really pan out to be anything I really wanted to use, but they didn't have it on the device to see. You had to open the app. But now, you can actually go in and see it on the device itself. The one thing they didn't do, which I hope they update in the future, is you can't put what's called a quick view of the readiness score. You can do other things like calories and steps, but the readiness score, which I feel like would be perfect for the quick view, is not something I can add there based on what I'm seeing in the app. So that is something I hope they improve in the future. But the pro here is that the readiness score is actually on the device. So with that, it is now time for my cons list. So first off, $229.95 is a lot of money for me to spend on a watch. Yeah, it does do my fitness stuff and whatnot. Again, it's not perfectly accurate as none of these are. So I just think this is, I feel like it's like a $150 item, if that. I don't know. I just don't like spending that much money on things. Yes, I'm buying it and spending that much money to test on here so you guys can determine if you want to buy it for your home training. I do think it is a great device. I just don't know if it's worth like $230-ish. So that's just me. If it fits you and you have the money, go for it. But otherwise, you may not need it and can try for something cheaper. And the next con is that there is glare on screen. It's not terrible. Yes, you can hold it up and there's glare on screen. But again, that nice vibrant colored screen of the Versa 4 shines through and you can read everything just fine. Alright, now looking at a different con is my GPS test. So, I did a test where I did a bike route 3 times, and I'll go over why I did it 3 and not 2. But the first thing I didn't like about the GPS is how long it takes to connect to the GPS. And 2 times, so the first 2 times I tried it, so I went to my bike app and turned it on, it actually failed to connect to GPS. So after that, I kind of like walked around and got it to work, but I hope they're able to improve that so that it connects faster and more frequently, as it might just be a software issue at this time. But once I got it connected, I was able to do the 3 tests. So I did 2 back-to-back, then I actually, after the second one, had dinner and came back and did the third one. The main reason is on attempt number 2, I ran into an issue where I took the last turn coming back onto the start, and I actually lost GPS connection entirely. So one of them was basically it just gave out. It didn't have the full route, unlike the other 2. My first and third attempts have the exact same route. However, they're about a 1/10 of a mile off, maybe a little bit more, 0.12 miles off from one another. So that is a bit concerning. So I think Fitbit has some work to improve this GPS on the device from using the same exact path 3 times and getting 3 different results, where the second one was the worst as it dropped entirely. So if you're using this for like Spartan races or something like that, you may want to shy away until some updates come out where I get some better results. And to round out the cons, the last one is this does get some fingerprints on it. So I've had this for like a couple days, and I clearly have some fingerprints on it if I turn it into the light the right way. Not the worst thing in the world. It's easy to clean off. It hasn't really affected my ability to use the device, but it is something annoying when I have to pay $230 to have those fingerprints clearly on screen. But in terms of scratches, I have none yet. I haven't tried to scratch it, but after using it for some time, we'll see if it gets normal wear and tear and starts scratching up, as I'm not going to protect it with anything for now to see what happens. So my final thoughts on the Fitbit Versa 4. I really, really like this device. As I started with, this will become my new fitness tracker watch, whatever you want to call it, if nothing changes. I hope there are some improvements, of course, things like the GPS and some of the other features. But overall, this has really been a great start for my Versa experience. So I'm starting with the Versa 4, and I hope it continues to go this way, as it's basically just a Charge 5 that's a little bigger, but has some of the features that were missing in the Charge 5 I really wanted. Oh yeah, and the weather app. So now the weather app is directly on the device. It was something missing from the Charge 5 that I wish they brought back, and they have it as its own screen on the Fitbit Versa 4. But maybe the Fitbit Charge 5 is more to your liking. If so, check out this 1-year review of the Fitbit Charge 5 if you think it is a better item for you and you want to see more information of it before making your final purchasing decision.